Hello, everybody. Yeah, you caught me by surprise there. Welcome. Thank you so much for joining us, and welcome to this CHOC Foundation Journey of Hope webinar. So good to have you. Some of you may be with us for the first time. This might be your first webinar. Welcome to you. And those that have been with us before, welcome back. These are always really good conversations. And today we have a really, really special one. And our theme today is, how high does hope go? I really look forward to chatting to and meeting some champion survivors of cancer who've gone on to do amazing things. Their stories are quite inspirational, different walks of life, but very, very special stories to tell. Some of you may be live as you can hear me right now, and some of you might have clicked through at a later time. So to you, welcome as well, and spread the word about these webinars. We'll keep you posted about details of the next one, but today's a really special one. And I suppose there's a few questions that people might have, especially when you're young and you're told that you've got cancer, and you go through the treatment and you wonder what life will be like after that. I mean, what is the future? What lies ahead? Do you just survive, or do you thrive? And we're hoping that the stories that you hear today are going to tell you that it's quite an incredible journey that can happen, that is possible, and that the opportunities are limitless. And so the question might be, if you have childhood cancer and you've survived it, could you one day become an astronaut? Could you one day become an Olympian? Could you one day become a doctor and become the CEO of a children's hospital? Could you one day perhaps go through and pass matric during the most challenging time in your life and just do amazing things? Well, today we're hoping that the stories that you'll hear are just going to inspire you if you're a survivor. And if you've got cancer now, actually, that you can think about a future that is quite amazing that's ahead of you. So, as I said, the theme for our chat today is, how high does hope go? Hashtag survivors have no limits. By the way, my name is Peter Ndoro, and yeah, my job, as you can see from behind me, is usually on television, doing news and things like that. But I love to get away from that every once in a while and get involved in conversations like this, because I think this is what real life is all about, and the magic of meeting amazing people like the ones that you're going to meet today. Very, very special for me. So for those of you who don't know what CHOC is about, the Childhood Foundation for Cancer, CHOC, it's a non-profit organization in South Africa that not only advocates for health and well-being of youth diagnosed with cancer or life-threatening blood disorders and their families, but also it's there to care for survivors. And when children or teens are on treatment, they must often wonder how life will be after cancer. And that's what we're going to be looking at today. And we celebrate those brave heroes who've survived childhood cancer, and hope that this webinar will inspire every survivor fighting cancer right now, and every long-term survivor as well, but also newly diagnosed families who might be wondering about the future and whether there is hope. And I promise you, some of the stories you're going to hear today are quite incredible. And you're probably going to shed a tear or two as well, because the stories are so amazing. All right, so during the course of this webinar, we're going to ask you a few poll questions. And you could sometimes choose one answer, and sometimes you'll choose two. So we're going to have, I think, 4 questions eventually. And let's start with the first one straight away. And so this first question is, when did you become a cancer survivor? Tick one of those. When I started treatment, when I finished treatment, 5 years after I finished treatment, ever since I was in remission. Okay, so click one of those, and yeah, let's just see. We're going to get all of those results. I'll give you about 30 seconds, and then we'll share those results. Okay, so click, tick. And I think we've probably got, there we go, 50% of you said when I started treatment, 10% of you when I finished treatment, 5 years after I finished treatment, and ever since I was in remission, 30%. Okay, it's all right, thank you so much indeed. So that's the first one, and there's a few more coming. Like I said, we've got some very special people that you're going to meet today. And the first one, very, very special woman. She joined billionaire Jared Isaacman on SpaceX's first private space flight, Inspiration 4, which launched on the 16th of September 2021 and water landed on the 18th of September. Now, she self-described space geek Jared Isaacman says that he always dreamed about going into space when he was in kindergarten, and he recalls telling his teacher at the time that someday that he would go into space. She said that it is to be an astronaut. It's a very rare opportunity. He said that the odds of becoming a NASA astronaut are better than getting hit by lightning. So you've got a better chance of getting hit by lightning than becoming an astronaut. So you can imagine the person you're going to meet to get into space is pretty rare and special and amazing. And so Inspiration 4 was motivated in part by Isaacman's effort to raise more than $200 million for St. Jude's Children's Research Hospital. And that's a childhood cancer research hospital that does not charge the families of the children for their treatment. And the funds will all raised will support low middle income countries. Some are in Africa who need to pay for chemotherapy but cannot afford it. So let's meet our first guest, and she's introduced by Suya Rasul from the Global Alliance ALSAC. And I've got to tell you, this woman, incredible, and get your tissues out as well. She was the first American citizen, female American citizen, youngest to orbit the Earth, first person with a prosthesis to orbit the Earth, and the first childhood cancer survivor to do so. Let's meet our amazing, amazing Hayley Arceneaux.
Of childhood cancer. We are inspired by the success of CHOC in raising awareness and providing treatment and support for the patients and families of South Africa and other countries. We know that in many parts of the world, childhood cancer survival rates are still much too low. With CHOC and other partners around the world, we are working every day to save more children. And today, we are grateful to take a moment to focus on the success stories, to focus on individuals who fought childhood cancer and not only survived, but also thrived. We are thrilled to share one of our survival stories with you. Hayley Arceneaux became a physician's assistant at St. Jude Children's Research Hospital almost 20 years after being treated at St. Jude as a 10-year-old patient with osteosarcoma. St. Jude saved Hayley's life and her left leg. After chemotherapy, radiation, and limb-sparing surgery, she received a prosthetic femur and knee joint and hasn't slowed her down since. She's a world traveler who's visited 5 continents. And as you will see in the story, in 2021, she became the youngest American in space, part of the first all-civilian crew into orbit, and the first person to ever fly to space with a prosthesis. The space mission was not easy, and neither was the training. To prepare for the flight, Hayley and the crew trained for months, including a challenging mountain climb of Mount Rainier. Throughout the training and spaceflight, Hayley knew that she was representing cancer survivors everywhere. We are so proud of her. To those currently fighting cancer, and to cancer survivors watching today in South Africa and around the world, we hope this video inspires you. We hope you know that as Hayley has proven, the sky is not the limit. Enjoy her story, beginning with Inspiration 4. This is for all of you.
When I write in my journal, I just try to put as many details as possible. It really helped me almost like believe that this was happening. I keep writing in the journal, really just trying to remember all these little details. And then also show my future self that I was tough. The Mount Rainier climb was intense. It was 9.5 hours through the snow, straight up. At different points, we all felt a little exhausted, but nearing the end, Cyan was starting to feel the fatigue. And that in that moment, Jared stepped up and he took her backpack and put it on top of his. I trusted Jared. I can't imagine anyone else commanding our mission to space. I knew that he was always going to make the decisions that were best for the crew. And he was always going to put his crew members before him. I'm just so in awe of my crew members. They are so invested in the mission of St. Jude. They love this place. They love these kids. Of course, I love St. Jude. St. Jude saved my life and gave me the greatest job ever. But how the other three have adapted the mission and are so passionate, that's really inspiring to me. Everyone was in great spirits going into launch. We were studying, we were doing medical checkouts and research. And then also we had some dedicated time with our families to just do fun things and to make memories together. My family was so appreciative of SpaceX taking that time to just answer all their questions. And my mom had some last minute questions. She just wanted to get some more information. And one of the higher ups at SpaceX sat down with her and answered all of her questions. And it reminds me a lot of what St. Jude does, is we allow our families to ask all of the questions they want. And if they think of questions later, we come back because we want them to feel empowered and to have that knowledge and feel comforted.
T-minus 15 seconds.
Inspiration 4 is go for launch.
Inspiration 4.
When I saw the Earth, I was just so awestruck. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. Seeing the atmosphere, that thin blue line, and seeing land masses without borders. That changes perspective. I was filled with just this intense feeling of gratitude. And that feeling of gratitude is going to stick with me forever. You know, I've always had a lot of gratitude just to be alive, for every single day that I've been given, and for St. Jude. But it gave me a whole new perspective on gratitude. I took pictures of my friends that I've lost to cancer over the years. Ever since I was going through treatment at age 10, I lost people I really cared about. And I think it fueled me into wanting to treat cancer and wanting to eradicate cancer even more. But I feel like such an important part of this mission is these kids who have died of cancer. You know, 80% survival rate is not enough. And I really want to honor those kids.
Parameter of the Earth, which is still beautiful. And so I hope that you're
The feeling of purpose really came about during the St. Jude call. You know, it just felt so full circle. Like, I've been on this journey for almost 20 years, and a lot has happened in the last 20 years. And now I have my dream job, which really feels like my purpose in life. I was just worried about how I would feel after the mission, going back to regular life. But I just feel so content, so just happy that the mission happened, that everything went well. We got to do everything we wanted to do. It couldn't have gone better. And now I get to continue sharing this experience with my patients. These kids have my entire heart. Every single one of you patients are my heroes. And I just want to show you that if I can do this, you can do this. If I could go back and talk to 10-year-old me, I wouldn't tell her she's going to space. Because I think part of the fun in life is getting to figure everything out and getting to be surprised by what comes next. But if 10-year-old me could see 29-year-old me in a spacesuit, I don't think she would be surprised.
Wow. Wow. What an incredible story, wasn't it? And she could never have imagined that she would be sitting literally on top of the. Yeah, it's quite a touching story. And she says, you know, when she looks back, she realized that she was tough. And those of you who've gone through this journey, who've beaten cancer, know how tough it was. And it proved to you how tough you are and the ability that you have to open your life to amazing adventures that lie ahead. And there are so many adventures waiting for you. So if you're going through treatment now, just keep this image, this story in mind, and know that there's something amazing ahead of this journey. And for survivors, you must remember how tough you are, especially when life starts to get a little bit tough. Remember, you've been through hell and back. So a wonderful, wonderful story. Hayley, astronaut, quite an amazing story, and so, so good to have your story shared with us. Okay, the next one is a second poll question that we have for you. And this one is network. Would you like to be part of a survivors network? So here are the possibilities. Yes, no, maybe later. All right, so choose one of those. Would you like to be part of a survivors network? We'd love to hear from you. What are your thoughts? I'll give you about 30 seconds and let us know. There you go. Would you like to be part of a survivors network? Yes, and no, or maybe later. I suppose this is not just for cancer survivors. This is probably families of cancer survivors as well. So 100% of you said, yes, you want to be part of that. Thank you so, so much indeed for your feedback. Okay, so we've met an astronaut. We got another great and inspiring story. And this one is someone who's currently a life and somatic coach, CHOC ambassador, entrepreneur, but she really has been a champion in so many ways, having blazed quite a trail in the swimming pool on a global level. At 17, she was diagnosed with thyroid cancer, and after her operation, she no longer swam for the medals, but for the love of the water, and felt the miracle that exists with every breath that she took. She did go back to competitive swimming, and through dedicated discipline and hard work, she fought the odds and managed to achieve many of her dreams. University games, European championships, and ultimately actually becoming an Olympian, proving that there is so much life beyond cancer. Ladies and gentlemen, it's so good to have with us Romina Armellini. Thank you so much indeed for joining us, and welcome, Olympian, champion, life coach, and mom. I guess mom is the best job.
Mom is the best job, always will, beats all the medals. But thank you, Peter, for that introduction.
All right, so what did you learn from your cancer journey? How did this motivate you? Because I can imagine that getting that diagnosis can almost take life out of you there and then. But you more than beat it. You went back in the pool and became an Olympian.
Yes, well, Peter, I was 17, like you said, when I was diagnosed, and being an athlete at 17, you are the pinnacle of health. So, and I was competing on an international level. I actually ranked #2 in the world at a week before I was diagnosed. So it obviously was a very big shock. I had no family history, nothing. But I can actually stand here today and say it was probably the best thing that ever happened to me. And I know it's those are big words, and I'd like to say that, you know, you're going to hear that every person's cancer journey is different. It's as unique as a fingerprint. So as a cancer survivor, I don't want to say I've got all the answers. I don't think anyone does. But I think webinars like this and people, survivors talking, you know, you take what resonates with you and on your journey or whatever your experience with cancer is. So saying that, the thing that cancer taught me was, funny enough, to stop fighting. And I know it's a huge contrast to what you hear often. You hear to be positive, to fight, you need to beat this thing. And cancer actually told me that there's a huge strength in just letting go. Because as an athlete, I had that aggressive energy of trying to win and to beat and to fight and come out on top. So I applied that in my initial cancer journey. And to be very honest with you, it was very exhausting. No one tells you cancer is an emotional marathon. And my biggest strength was when I broke down completely one day. I remember I was in the pool by myself, floating on my back, and I was just done. I was exhausted. And I said, you know what, if I'm meant to die from this, if this is my end, it's okay. I said, I'm done fighting, whatever this is. And from there, I was sobbing. I was absolutely finished. My eyes were swollen from the tears. But I was completely empty. And in that emptiness, I actually found I was breathing. And right there and then, I said, well, then if I'm breathing, there's still something I'm meant to do, that I'm meant to learn. And I think from there, I actually started living without fear. And it was a huge shift from 17 to live without fear, and rather to live because you want to live, not because you're trying to run away from something. And that's where the huge transformation, I wasn't swimming for the medals anymore. I actually started asking myself, do I still want to do this? If this is my last day, is this what I want to do? And swimming became therapy for me. And galas became another opportunity just to get in there and do what I loved. So that was my processing from cancer.
And yet you soared and thrived and went on to do amazing things. And I think you may have answered some of this question, fears and challenges that you face having cancer as a young person. I think you almost gave us the answer of how you overcame it. Part of that was a letting go and acceptance, but I'm sure that there was other things that happened, maybe help, support.
So interesting, that was one of the biggest challenges, because at 17, you're very much aware of the people around you. And all of a sudden, when not only you, but when people around you hear that you've got cancer. I'm the eldest of 3 siblings, and I was very much aware how the strain that it took. I always say cancer is it's a social disease. It doesn't just end with the individual. So you could see, I was very cognizant of how my parents were suffering, how my siblings were suffering, how my friends were suffering. And I had support, but I had people around me that didn't know how to come up to me and say, how are you today? Because they knew I wasn't well and they didn't know how to navigate that space. And there was a fear in navigating that space and getting close to someone for fear that maybe in a week or 2 weeks time or in a month or 6 months time, they're no longer there. So there was support, but there was also a huge shift even in my relationships around me.
Wow. So today you're married, you do so many things, and one of them is being mom to a little 3-year-old. What's your message when it comes to big dreams and looking ahead?
So I think, you know, with big dreams, I think it's fundamental. You hear often that a thought is a seed. But I also believe that feelings are the water that makes the seed grows. And I think the most fundamental thing is we need to first ask ourselves, why are we dreaming what we dream? Are we being true to ourselves? Because, you know, we don't ask a lion to bloom like a flower or a flower to roar like a lion. It's completely unnatural. So, and we are in an age where with social media, there's so many filters, so many messages that get put out onto us, what we should have, what we should want. But it takes a very brave person to say, this might not be what I want. This may be what I want, and to stand up for it. But in the end, it's the most rewarding thing. And I think any dream has to start with gratitude. You were saying earlier, we were speaking about gratitude, and gratitude is the foundation of everything. It's where things start, because it's your foundation of positive energy, which you can build on top. And it makes it so much easier to guide yourself forward.
You're so right about gratitude. And a final question, perhaps. It's about these memories that we create, and a lot of people may not know, but I know that you once beat Charlene Wittstock, who some people might not know. She went on to become the Princess Charlene of Monaco. So many, many memories behind you, but I guess many memories still to make ahead of you.
Yes, I guess so. Huh? You get to meet princes and princesses that they were before you even know it. I was actually there when she met the prince. It was actually quite a historic event, I guess.
Oh, wonderful. It's been so good talking to you. Thank you so, so much indeed. And I think your story inspirational, that so much can happen, so much in terms of possibilities are there as a cancer survivor. So Romina, thank you very, very much indeed. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Peter, and thank you, CHOC. Thank you so much.
All right, that's Romina Armellini, who's an Olympian life coach and a mom and entrepreneur, sharing her story. Diagnosed with thyroid cancer at 17, and she navigated those waters and went on to do amazing things, and still in the middle of a thriving life. Well, here's somebody who's also a champion survivor with a very inspiring story, and still very, very young in years. At 16, his mother died, and he had to head up his household and take care of his siblings. This at a time that he was diagnosed with cancer. He underwent treatment and completed matric. Xichavo, what an amazing, amazing story that you have. A brave one, actually. Welcome to you. Thank you so much indeed for joining us. And I can only imagine at a young age to be, lose your mother and then to be told that you have cancer must have been a lot to deal with. What motivated you to fight that fight and keep moving? Hello, Xichavo, can you hear me?
Yeah, I wasn't hearing you properly. Can you please repeat what you have said?
All right. I was just saying that at 16, to be told that you've got cancer and to deal with the loss of your mom must have been quite a lot for you to take in. And I just wonder if you can tell me what motivated you to fight the good fight and keep going.
What makes me to wake up every morning and fight for my life because the situation of where I stay or where I am living. And I was also thinking about my 2 siblings who I am living with. And I was also thinking about my dreams. I didn't want my dreams to just fade just like that, like I didn't exist. And I wanted to be a testimony, to testify to everyone to know that I am a cancer survivor. And I know that I have got this. So that is what motivated me to wake up early in the morning and just say, today I'm here to fight my life.
And it's quite a thing. And to head a household, you became a man much quicker than most people around you. And you had all of this other stuff to deal with. Looking back at this now, especially when you first realize that actually you're the man of the house now, what message can you have for other people that are young who perhaps don't realize how tough they can be and how powerful they can be?
I can't hear you properly.
Can you hear me?
Now I can hear you.
Oh, can you hear me now? Okay, all right. So I was just saying that, you know, being so young, you had to become a man quite quickly, heading your household, and you had to do a lot of growing up very quickly, even dealing with adversity. What's your message to young people? Because you have proved that you're actually a lot tougher than you think, right?
Yes. I would like to send a message to everyone who is young or younger than me that they can do this because I have also become a head of child-headed household. I have made it by myself and told myself that I will be a greater brother, a greater mother, and a greater father to my siblings. So everyone can do this. And it depends on how stronger you are. You have to become stronger in order to head a child-headed household because there are challenges that you might face while you are busy grooming your younger siblings or whoever who you are living with who is younger than you. So you have to be mature and think about future, on how are you going to fight for your future, because to be a head of child-headed household, you get some income from other people. You depend from other people in order to sleep with something in your tummy. So I would like to advise everyone who is younger or even who is older than me, who they are failing to become a head of child-headed household of household. So yes, that is the message that I'm sending to everyone.
You know what? It's people don't understand just how amazing what you've done is and what you continue to do. I really, my hands up to you, because you're a powerful, powerful, powerful human being. I suppose help from organizations like CHOC has been good. Tell me, as a help, as a survivor.
CHOC organization values means a lot to parent and child who stays far away from home. Let's just take an example by me. I am head of child-headed household. I don't have any income that comes in my pocket, but CHOC, because of CHOC was there for me, I managed to go to Charlotte Mateke, which is Joburg Gen Hospital, in order to take my radiation. But if CHOC wasn't there, I couldn't make it, because of I couldn't even have money for transport. I couldn't even go to the hospital every day, because of I don't have any income that will take me to the hospital every time. And let's just take in case if CHOC wasn't there, and then there are parents who are coming from far away from home. They don't have enough things. Like sleeping at the hospital is the hardest thing that I can tell, because you have to buy your own grocery. But CHOC, because of its there, it does provide accommodation, food parcels, and money for transport, which is the great things that they are doing for child and their parents who are staying far away from home.
That's great to hear. But again, I keep looking at you and I see a man that has been brave and strong. Now, during your cancer journey, you also completed matric. What's your big dream, and how high does your hope go? Because you've already overcome so much.
My big dream is to become a chartered accountant, and my high hopes is to see my siblings, me and my siblings, to be in a warm place, staying in a good accommodation where we don't have any problems. That is all that I can say, and I would like to thank CHOC for keeping more hope arrive alive.
My dear, dear brother, young man, amazing story, and keep going. I promise you, everything that you dream is going to happen sooner than you think. Yours is an inspiring story, and I have no doubt that one day I'm going to be interviewing you on television as the financial director of a big, big company. And I'll say, do you remember we had this conversation in 2022? And you'll be wearing these fancy suits and driving a lovely car. So keep going, keep hope alive. And I look forward to seeing your dream becoming true. Thank you so much, Xichavo. Thank you. All right. What a wonderful, wonderful story. Isn't he amazing? And you know, people, we take for granted just how much it is to be the head of a child-headed household. Your childhood is all literally taken away, and yet they just stand up and they do what needs to be done. And in all of this, he's fighting his own battle and overcoming that, getting through matric. Quite an amazing and inspiring story, and I look forward one day to meeting Mr. Chartered Accountant to tell us about how his life journey has gone. Okay, poll question number 3. Now, more than one answer. So there's a lot of things that you can answer to here, and it is, what challenges do you face as a survivor? And remember, you can choose more than one option. What challenges do you face as a survivor? Stigma, fear of rejection, sexuality issues, depression, post-traumatic stress disorder, maybe, poor self-image, obesity, financial problems, insurance company charges extra because you had cancer as a child, medical aid loaded with premiums because you had childhood cancer. What are some of the issues that you're dealing with as a survivor, that you're facing as a survivor? Yeah, so that one, you can have more than one, and as you can see, by far and away, stigma is an issue, fear of rejection, and poor self-image and financial issues. And I've got to say, poor self-image, I can imagine how difficult that is. However, you really do have amazing to go through this journey that most people, and get through it and get on with it on the other side, is an amazing, amazing thing. You should never, ever have to have a poor self-image. In fact, you are a mirror of inspiration. You are a beacon of what is possible with the human spirit. So self-image really should be the last thing that you need to deal with on that list. I know that it's easier said than done, but believe me, what you have done, what you have gone through is no small thing. It is an amazing thing that you've done. You've challenged yourself and you got through to the other side. So do more than survive, thrive, be amazing. You don't all have to be Olympians and astronauts, but you can do amazing things in life. So yeah, I'm sad to see that self-image is an issue, because what you've gone through is no small thing. All right, now, another amazing story. The woman you're about to meet, at 14 years old, she was diagnosed with a germ cell tumor of the ovaries. Chemotherapy was tough, but she was determined to live a normal life despite the cancer. She continued with her school, and her schoolmates were supportive and a little curious at times, I guess. After 6 months of chemo sessions and surgery, she was well on the road to recovery. She miraculously passed grade 9, received an unexpected award at school for extraordinary academic performance. I know that that is a moment that was quite emotional for her. Well, today she's a qualified medical doctor, graduated from Wits University, and is currently the CEO of the Nelson Mandela Children's Hospital in Johannesburg. She serves as a CHOC board member and has a heart for children with cancer. Nelson Mandela himself said that she's heading is a beautiful example of hope that has no limits. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome, as we meet Dr. Nkuli Boikhutso. Thank you so much indeed for joining us, and so good to have you. What an amazing, amazing journey. I guess at 14, you're still young, but old enough to understand what the word cancer means. What was that like? And at that point, could you even imagine that you'd be sitting in an office, sometimes with a stethoscope around your shoulder, being a doctor?
Good afternoon, Peter, and good afternoon to all the participants, and thanks for having me. So, you know, when you're diagnosed at 14, this was, believe it or not, 25 years ago. Yeah, actually 25 years ago. At that time, the only thing you can think of is, what does it mean? Because the only reference I had at the time of cancer was a Julia Roberts movie called Dying Young. So you have no clue what it means. Am I also going to die? You know, you just think of what is happening now and how do I get through this? So I would have never imagined in that moment where my life would be today, and I'm grateful it's actually where it is. But it's really through the support of many people that I got to where I am I am today. But yeah, it was quite a challenging moment for me to hear those words.
Yeah, but you got through it, and at a very difficult time, stuck with the tasks at hand, getting through school. I wonder how you overcame some of these challenges and obstacles to be a cancer survivor that thrived.
Yeah. So, you know, for me, when I was going through that moment, and I must say, look, I come from a family, a very spiritual family, grounded in religion. So for me, my Bible was sort of my saving grace at some point. And I got a scripture that says you're going to live. And I was like, I held on to it, you know, whether or not is this real or not, but you hold on to hope that there's a future for you that is available. And that's what kept me going through the days of chemotherapy and the in and out team of the hospital. And just to also have a family and a school that was understanding. And so for me, I tried to live as normal a life as possible, despite the cancer. You know, you lose the hair, your body changes, you know, the self-image thing that people have mentioned is a real thing, you know, because your body changes, whether it's because of the disease or because of the treatment, and you have to deal with those things and you don't even realize it. As Romina said, it's an emotional journey, the psychological impact of it. And so for me, it's really been about the support of the people around me. But one of the most important things was a few years ago, many years ago, CHOC has started a group called Solid, which is a survivors of life-threatening illnesses and diseases. And for me to know that there are other children like me, you know, who are going through the same thing, that in itself was encouraging. To see them alive, they're doing well, was encouraging in itself to say, but there's hope for me. And so that's what helped me to overcome some of the challenges. And some of it's a journey. It takes years. Yeah. Even certain things, you're still dealing with them. You're still worried that, oh my gosh, now that I have children, are my children going to be impacted? Even though medically I know that it's unlikely, but you still have those questions that you ask all the time. And so really having the support of friends and having the support of a survivor group is really helpful, because then there's a sense of belonging. I'm not alone in this journey. It's not just me. I'm not being punished. You know, there are many of us like this. So that's what has really helped me.
And you know, when I was listening to Hayley's story a little bit earlier on, that she went back to become a medical officer at the hospital that she was as a child, and they saved her life. It must be quite a thing for you to go back and work with children, because you more than anybody knows what it's like to be them. And so it must be quite an emotional journey for you, but rewarding when you're able. Hi, Nkuli, can you hear me?
I can kind of hear you. You keep coming in and
in and out. Okay, you know what? Let's
but I think I caught it.
Yeah,
I think I caught what you're saying, what you asked, and you correct me if I'm wrong. Just for me, my whole cancer journey, it has defined my life in a positive way. Because before I had cancer, actually a few years earlier, I was in a bomb blast in Johannesburg during that dangerous transition time in South Africa in '91, you know, when there was a lot of instability. So there was a bomb incident and I was there, and I was in a hospital bed, like once for the first time in my life. And at that moment, I said, I want to help children who are injured like me. And so when then I had cancer 4 years later, it sort of reinforced my mission and dream life, that I want to work somehow with children. I didn't know at which point I want to be a medical person. How do I do it? But I want to make things better for children, and not just children with cancer, but for all children. So how can I work in an environment like that? I never planned to be a CEO of any hospital, but I really wanted to work with children in one form or other. Yeah.
All right. You know what? Let's leave it there. Thank you so much indeed for joining us and sharing your story and your message. And congratulations on this journey, and keep up the great work that you're doing at the Children's Hospital, Nelson Mandela Children's Hospital. Thank you so much. Thank you for your story.
Thank you, Peter.
Oh. Yeah, I just love talking to these amazing people who, you know, adversity visits us, challenges visit us, but when you're young, somehow it's much bigger because these amount of life experience to understand fully what's going on, and yet they are brave and do amazing things. And so if you're a young person watching this and you've got cancer, these people that you're meeting today, that's your future. That's what's waiting for you. So be inspired. Yes, it's hard. Yes, it's difficult. But you know what? What is ahead of you is so deep and so rich with so many rewards. So don't give up. Don't lose hope. Believe that what's waiting for you is an amazing, amazing adventure. All right, we got a couple of people, and the last official speaker is well-respected pediatric oncologist working at the Pediatric Oncology Unit at Tygerberg Children's Hospital in the Western Cape. CHOC is privileged to be part of her research on the effects of cancer treatment on long-term survivors. And she certainly has a huge, huge heart in trying to improve the quality of life for these young survivors. Please meet Dr. Anel Van Zyl. Thank you so much indeed for joining us, and welcome to the program.
Thank you, Peter. And
can you hear me, Dr. Anel?
Yes, I can hear you. Thank you very
Dr.
much.
Anel.
Questions.
Hello, everybody. I think that part of the journey of life is about navigating, just as the survivors are journeying their own journey. We too journeying through our own journey. We've just got Peter coming back now. Are you with us, Peter? Okay. So just to introduce Dr. Anel, I mean, she's no myth. She's an individual that has stepped up to support pediatric oncology, to support those that are going through.
My apologies, we've been load shedded.
Okay, Peter, I'm going to hand back to you.
Yeah, we've sorry, my apologies. Yeah, okay, we've been load shedded, so it's quite a thing. But thank you so much for your patience. But we're nearly there. Dr. Anel, I guess the question for you is, what motivates you and drives you to increase the survival rate of childhood cancer in South Africa?
You know, Peter, always when people meet me and they ask me, what do you do? And I say I'm a pediatric oncologist, invariably the answer is, oh, that must be so sad. But then my standard answer is, you know, we've got way more ups than downs. And the best part of my job is actually seeing my patients get taller than me, which is quite a thing because I'm tall. Or you hear they've passed matric or they've even had a baby. So that makes it all worthwhile. So that's what drives me and everybody else working in childhood cancer, is to see childhood survivors, cancer survivors become strong, healthy, lead productive and happy lives.
Oh,
so it's a big team effort. In South Africa, we have a South African childhood cancer group, and we are all working together to increase the survival rate by different things. We are reviewing treatment protocols, harmonizing the protocol so that everyone in South Africa gets the same treatment, which will help improve survival rates. And also trying to increase awareness of childhood cancer so that everybody does get diagnosed and also gets diagnosed early enough. And that's what CHOC is also helping us with. But yeah, the best part of our job is the survivor clinics.
Yeah, and you know what, the survival rate is going up, and this is the one thing that I think we must always hold on to, that yes, it's sad that we still are losing children, but there is hope that many, many more are surviving and are beating this disease. But perhaps you can tell us why you think it's important that survivors know about the possible long-term effects of childhood cancer.
Yeah, indeed, it's very important, and it's kind of a new topic in South Africa. The rest of the world are a little bit ahead of us, but we are catching up fast. So in the past, the emphasis was all on cure, and there wasn't a lot of attention paid to the possible late effects of childhood cancer and treatment. And also children with cancer are usually very young. So when the doctors talk to the parents, the children are too young to understand the diagnosis or the treatment or the possible late effects. So it's not uncommon for survivors these days to actually not know what kind of cancer they had or what the potential late effects is for them later in their life. And therefore, many survivors do not realize why it's so important to continue long-term follow-up. And many survivors may not have entered that program because it wasn't important many years ago. So these days, survivors, when they finish, they get a so-called survivorship care plan from their treatment center, which entails all the details about the cancer, the treatment, and the potential health problems later in life, how to look for them. That's now addressed to the doctor who will continue the follow-up, and how often these tests must be performed. So if you don't have something like that, or you don't know the information and you're a survivor, you should go back to your treating center and ask them for this very important information, that you can carry that with you for the rest of your life. It can help to detect health problems early so that, you can act in a quick manner. And also very important, some survivors experience some late effects like obesity or depression or learning problems, and they blame themselves and they don't realize that it's actually due to the cancer or the treatment they had. So it's really important that they realize this is not their fault, and knowledge is power. So it's really important.
Perhaps finally and briefly, I guess, because of time, what is your vision to improve the quality of life for survivors? Dr. Anel?
Okay, so I think that could be two approaches. The first one is the healthcare team that actually has to look after the survivor and walk the journey with them after completion of treatment during the long-term follow-up, to take care of their health and also sometimes mental and other issues that need attention. And then also the onus is also on the survivor, because you've been granted a second chance in life, and you need to take care of yourself mentally and physically, so that you can lead a life as healthy as possible. And all of that should help to increase the quality of life.
Well, Dr. Anel, thank you so much. And please keep up the amazing and great work that you're doing, and especially the work with the survivors. I think sometimes, as you say, I think that there's been a focus on the cure and getting through the disease, but there is so much life after that that also needs to be taken care of. So thank you so much indeed for that powerful message and the work that you do, especially as the CHOC board chairperson. All right, so just to let you know that CHOC will be hosting a series of webinars for survivors. Please check the CHOC website regularly for more information about when and where. The next webinar for survivors is scheduled at this stage for the 6th of June. So please put that in your diary. And in that one, we'll be taking a look at nutrition. That'll be the subject issue for the survivors webinar. That's on the 6th of June. Put that in your diary. All right, so we have heard from some amazing people. We've heard some inspiring stories. Some of them made us cry even a little, but it's been quite a day, I think, quite an afternoon. And just to say perhaps a few last words of acknowledgement and thanks to our speakers and everyone that's worked hard to make this webinar happen. It's my great pleasure to welcome the CEO of CHOC, who you've met a few moments ago, Hedley Lewis.
Thanks so much, Peter. It's really a privilege to speak. It's a privilege to have the opportunity. I think that it's not often that I'm at a loss for words. It's not often that I can say that when you get to the end of a webinar, that there's just so much emotions, it's probably consuming one. I think that for us at CHOC, we're in awe of the survivors. We're in awe of their achievements, and we're in awe of not just their achievements during their journey of cancer, but what they've actually focused on to go forward with. I think that when you look at the incredible speakers from Hayley to Romina to Xichavo to Dr. Nkuli, you can only think, well, if they can do it, why can't I do it? If they can go to the moon and they can run one of the most renowned hospitals in our country, or overcome the opportunity of having to take on the responsibilities of being a head of a family, then how can we not be one? But I think that the message today is that they're the beacon of hopes. They're the beacon of life. They're the beacon of love. And I think that every one of them fulfills an imperative role in the cancer community as well as in our country. And for us at CHOC, we're saying that to every one of the survivors out there is to step up, join the journey. And if anyone that's out there would like to refer a survivor, is to contact your regional office. But for us at CHOC, it's about let's join the choir, let's join the voices, and to pay tribute to all of the survivors. I think that we also need to pay another special thank you, obviously, to Dr. Anel Van Zyl, who's just one of the many pediatric oncologists that said that her profession was going to be about supporting pediatric oncology. And yes, she says that it's about hope and love and the journey, but every day she gets up with one intention, and that's to make their prognosis, hopefully the best prognosis possible. I think that for us, we're looking at the entire webinar, and to you, Peter, a special thank you. And to our technical team, Wayne, I mean, it all comes together about uniting and holding that flag high and having that beacon of hope. So to all of South Africa, don't be embarrassed to know that today you probably have shed a tear. I think that we've all shed many tears. And just as they have shed tears, we look at further journeys and different webinars and look forward to welcome you all back in the future.
All right. Thank you so much indeed. And again, thank you for the work that you're doing and CHOC is doing, making huge difference. And not just for the children and the teens that are going through this journey, and on the other side. So thank you so much indeed. And to all of you that have tuned in, have clicked on, thank you so much indeed for joining us for this webinar. Please look out for details for the next one. We look forward to having many more conversations with you. But today, as Hedley says, so much hope. There is so much life waiting to be lived. There is a great story, many adventures waiting for you to be explored and enjoyed. So yes, it is a challenge. Yes, it is a mountain to climb, but there's so much waiting for you on the other side. So keep hope alive, everybody. See you again at the next one. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye, everybody. It was lovely. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.